A new political watchdog is vowing to keep an eye on what it describes as wasteful government spending. The New Zealand Taxpayers Union describes itself as a politically independent grassroots campaign that will represent hard-working Kiwis. It also happens to have more than a few National Party members. Its Executive Director is Jordan Williams. He joins us now. Good morning, Mr Williams. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Rachel.
Right, firstly, can you outline to me what's the difference between the Taxpayers Union and the ACT Party?
Well, the most obvious is that we're not a political party, and it's a bottom line of David and I who have established this organisation that it never will become a political party. We're out there to balance the debate, the hundreds of organisations, unions and lobby groups that want more government spending on their particular pet projects. We want to ensure that New Zealand taxpayers are getting value for money for the things that our politicians are spending money on.
OK, which is not dissimilar to what the ACT Party set out to do as well. So have you essentially set up the Taxpayers Union because of the failings of ACT?
No, not at all. David and I have both been inspired by a guy, Matthew Elliott, who established the UK Taxpayers Alliance. We've both independently met him, and I spent a week in Westminster visiting their organisation back in July. Very impressed with their operation. And that's really been the impetus of both David and I in setting this up. ACT's a political party. We won't go into that space.
Can we also draw comparisons, well, it seems we can, to be honest, between the Taxpayers Union and the Tea Party?
Well, again, the Tea Party is a political party, or it's a wing of the Republican Party. We're not going to go there. To be quite frank, the Tea Party have all sorts of wacky, far-right, conservative ideas. This is a taxpayer group. We want to be representing the interests of taxpayers in the corridors of power, exposing government waste, exposing excessive spending or cost overruns inside government and local government.
So who's bankrolling you then? Because your membership's $5, I think, a head. That's not going to pay salaries, really, is it? So where's your funding coming from?
Well, to be quite frank, in setting this up, there's been thousands of volunteer hours that have gone into it, particularly by David and myself. I've been responsible for all the fundraising. We haven't had anyone put in more than $15,000, and that, to be quite frank, was used to set up our website. We've got an office, and we've brought a couple of computers and things.
That's quite a bit of money, I have to say, Mr Williams. You know, who's been putting in that level of money, up to $15,000?
To be quite frank, it's friends and colleagues of David and I. I took a week off work to approach a couple of people, show them what has been achieved in the United Kingdom, and said, look, David and I are wanting to set up something like this here. We want to, in a few years, become New Zealand's largest union in terms of membership, and we've been fortunate enough to have a couple of people pop in a bit of money so we can get it off the ground.
Right, look, so that organisation in the UK largely backed by the Conservative Party, that's fairly public. So who are your allies? Have you, for example, spoken with John Banks?
No, I would doubt that John Banks even knew, had even heard of the Taxpayers Union before we launched on Wednesday.
Have you talked to the National Party?
I've mentioned it to a couple of people in the National Party over the last few months and just said that this is on the horizon, but there's certainly been no, to be quite frank, there's probably been more concern from the National Party than anything else. We will work with whoever is in opposition to expose government waste and extravagance, and naturally a few senior members of the National Party were a little bit raised their eyebrows at this.
Have you had conversations with the Labour Party?
Yes, yes we have, including.
Who have you spoken to there?
I'm like with the National Party. I'm not going to get into specifics, but we are quite happy to work with the Greens or the Labour Party in exposing government waste. And actually, only on Thursday we issued a press release congratulating and backing the Labour Party's decision to axe the Families Commission Quango and redirect that money into frontline core government services. We think that's a great example of what we stand for, more value for money rather than more reports, meaningless reports. OK,
that said, you and David Farrar, the co-founders, you're both members of the National Party, so it's a little difficult to see how the Taxpayers Union can be independent.
Well, that will be shown by the issues that we pick up over the next few months. You can judge that for yourselves. David and I know, are determined that this is going to be a politically independent organisation that will never become a political party. So you can judge from our work whether that's true or not.
So at the moment you're saying you're doing lots of volunteer hours. I'm struggling to see, what the motivation is here for you and David.
Well, as you know, I've been on this program a number of times, have an interest in politics and particularly transparency and accountability within government. We've seen what the guys in the UK have achieved. They've now taken me on as a part-time executive director. I'm splitting my time between this and being a lawyer. So obviously, there's no guarantee this organisation will work. It will only work if we can get other individuals to contribute, that we can get New Zealanders visiting taxpayers.org.nz and joining the organisation and donating.
So you say you've got no plans for the Taxpayers Union to morph into a political party. Is that just at the moment? Can you categorically rule out that will never happen?
It's not just no plans, it is a bottom line of my involvement in this organisation that it will never be a political party. If it became a political party, I think both David and I would leave it.
Yourself though, Jordan Williams, would you like to be in Parliament? Would you like to be an MP?
I'm only 27. I've got little interest in becoming an MP, and frankly, I think that at least while National's in government, that this sort of organisation won't win me friends in National.
All right, Jordan Williams from the Taxpayers Union. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.